we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts.
What's up, man?
You know,
talking about allergies a little bit.
Allergies, got the congestion, was talking with somebody. You know, it has been brought to my attention, and I didn't think I agreed, but it has been brought to my attention by multiple other people that over time my voice has changed substantially. Would you agree?
No.
No. Well, okay. I think Hannah would admit that going through older clips, we did some reaction videos recently to some of the first clips.
She probably knows better than anybody.
Well, I mean, Hannah wasn't with us at the time that most of these clips were shot, right? But listening to them, my voice sounds different.
It could also just be the recording device. Maybe.
Well, but we're using some of the same mics.
You used to have a higher voice?
It was higher. It was, I think more nasally.
Hit puberty for a second time?
Well, I feel like a lot of rasp in my voice now. Would you agree with that? Like, kind of?
Yeah.
And what I honestly think it is, mostly, is coaching. A lot of yelling. Basketball coaching. I don't. You remember us trying to record last year, and there are even clips out there from around that time where I could barely speak. And
I remember that. Yep.
You know,
it lasted about 6 weeks.
Yeah, because I kept having practice and kept having to use my voice and project. It's one thing I've never found difficult to project. You know, like I'm the guy that you can hear in the room always when I want to be heard. And sometimes when I don't want to be heard. But I think I've injured my voice and it's changed it over time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I played a high school basketball game once where I ran point guard and I had no voice. Couldn't speak. So we had to narrow it down like 5 plays and
Hand
went
signals?
old school and went the number 1's this play, 2's this play, 3, 4, 5.
That's funny.
Or the coach would just yell it.
I don't know. I was curious. Like certain people told me I sounded a lot younger then, because you know we have a good majority of our most loyal podcast listeners are the agents here at Remax, and you know they'll go back. I think they find it interesting and fun. They'll go back 5 years sometimes and listen to an old episode because it's all right there. Especially on Apple, it's pretty easy to find. You can go all the way back. And they'll listen to episodes and they're like, wow. Or they'll go back and look at video clips when I didn't have a beard. And like, you know, it was just like how young, they remark on how young I looked, which is kind of interesting to me, which Hoagie called me Silver Fox the other day. Actually, he called me Silverback Gorilla is what he called me. But that's, you know, neither here nor there.
Yeah, I don't have any gray hair yet, but
you're awful young.
I have tons of friends with it, actually.
You're awful young for gray hair, though. We just talked about this. You're the youngest person in your friend group.
Yes.
You know,
well,
at least your couple's friend group.
Yeah. So I just Googled it. Do people's voice change as they age? AI overview. So I actually like this about Google now. When you search something, it brings up an AI thing at the top.
Yeah.
I think it's been nice.
I mean, it's almost just like asking ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it says, yes, people's voice change as they age due to a number of physical changes in the larynx. I think I pronounced that right. Vocal cords and other parts of the body. The vocal cords become thinner and less flexible, and the cartilage in the larynx hardens. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I guess everybody's voice probably changes then. Probably gets deeper, more raspy.
That's what has seemed to happen. More rasp and lower pitch. Is that Gemini? Is that the Google?
Yes.
Okay. I find it very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I always felt like I was a pretty good Google user, and I could pretty easily find the things that I want using Google. But the AI help is exciting. It seems to have a better handle on what you're looking for, like the context.
You might have started early though. It says Age-related voice changes vary widely, and people can begin to sound old in their 50s, while others retain a resonant voice well into their 80s.
Okay.
But you probably have done a lot more talking than most people.
I do a lot of I talk
that
for a
reach their
living.
50s.
I talk for a living. I go home some days. I have like speaking induced headaches.
Yeah.
Like I speak so much in the course of a day that I literally feel like pressure in my head. And I don't know if that's vibration, like constantly like irritating me in my brain, or what is that? Is it damaging? I don't know. But I mean, I literally talk all day.
I don't know about you, but I'm either ready to talk, or I go mute. And like, I don't want to say a word. There's sometimes I'll get home from work and my wife's like, "You're quiet. Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Everything's fine. I just
don't feel like talking."
Yeah.
It is absolutely like that. And Jen says it's eerie. Like,
I do think it freaks my wife out.
It absolutely does. Well, and imagine I'm probably more talkative typically than you are, I would say.
Yeah.
When you say like I'm somebody who's always got something to say, right? It's probably a good thing that I do what I do, because I don't know what the hell I would do if I had to work a job where I was silent all the time. It would be tough for me. I'm naturally someone that is, has a lot to say. So, when it's the opposite of that, Jen finds it, who is an introvert, right? She finds it very, very odd. But it honestly works for us. By the time I get home at night, I don't want to talk very much.
Yeah.
And she's quiet. So it works really nicely. I will say, when it's my current schedule, which I found to be the most productive of all my career, and most balanced for that matter, is, I get up early, I have quiet time, right? I get woken up, I check my email, I do my stuff, the stuff that everybody
Have
likes
a coffee.
Have a cup of coffee, get your caffeine, get woken up.
Maybe watch a YouTube golf video.
Maybe. Check some email, clear out the inbox, whatever. Lately it's signing exclusive buyer agency agreements, like by the thousand. But anyway, I get my kids up. I get to spend the morning with them every day. I take them to school. I go straight to the gym. I go straight home to shower, come back to the office, in the office, 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. That 30 minutes when I'm at home getting ready.
Yeah.
My wife is not a morning person. But I've been to the gym. I'm jacked up on positivity from being around the kids. I'm jacked up on caffeine, and I have not talked to hardly anyone yet. So it's like, I'm like, blah.
Yep.
And she's like, get the hell away from me. Like, I need 5 minutes.
It's the same at my house. I'm such a morning person.
Yeah.
I love mornings. I love that time, that hour or so in the morning.
Before, the silence. Dude, when you have young kids, like super young kids, that hour of silence in the morning before anyone else is awake, or 2 hours maybe, even if you're lucky.
Yeah.
It was so like, it would like cleanse my soul.
I've always been a morning person. I've probably talked about this on the show, but it's because I was never allowed to sleep in growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, the latest they would ever let me sleep in, maybe 9 o'clock, but I mean, a lot of mornings it's 8. And they're like, "What are you doing? Get up, do something."
Let's go.
And I think it just trained me to.
I mean, I had some moments, in high school or whatever, where I was still at home, didn't have a lot of responsibility, and mom and dad were busy, that I got left alone, and I would sleep in a little bit. But even starting in college, when I could sleep in, now if I'd stayed out late partying, or I was hungover or whatever, obviously that's an exception. But I still was on the earlier side. I was always the first one up.
Yeah.
Let
me ask you this. You think as a real estate agent, it's better to be a morning person or a night person?
That's really challenging, because I've seen it done very successfully both ways. I would never be a night person and do it. That's not who I am. It's not what I am. And I think it's something that is really exciting about the industry, is that you can do it your way, right? As long as you do. I mean, there are certain non-negotiables, right? Diligence and, being self-starting and problem solving and all those things, right? But I always told myself that I was irresponsible if I wasn't at the office, or if I wasn't quote unquote working at like 7 a.m.
Sure.
Right. And what I realize is that telling myself those things sacrificed my health. And then when my dad got sick, in 18 first, and then later passed away in 21, it was just not something I was willing to sacrifice anymore under any circumstance. So I had to figure a way to make the gym happen in the morning, because I knew if left to the evening, it wouldn't happen.
Yep.
And, but I know plenty of people that, will sleep in a little, get up at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock. Okay. Which, the working world is in the office at 8 a.m. Right. Yeah. So that's sleeping in for an adult working person. Mm-hmm. They'll sleep in, they'll, take a more leisurely approach to the morning. They'll drink their coffee in their, pajamas and, eat breakfast and turn on the TV and watch a little morning news and then send a few emails. And they don't really get going until maybe at lunch or after with showings. And then they'll write offers and type up repair requests and do things like that in the evening, maybe even at night after their kids are in bed. That's not me. I don't think it's the most productive way, but it can certainly be done. Uh-huh. I like the cadence that my day has currently because I get an hour before my kids are up. There is some work component to that. Then I get the most important thing in my world, which is time with my kids, right? If my wife was a morning person, I'd love to have time with her too, but she would rather be sleeping at that moment. That's fine. Then I do get probably the second thing, which is, right after dropping my kids off, which is taking care of myself, physically, mentally, both. The gym takes care of that for me. And then I get on with my day.
Yeah. To me, it's not about starting your work day. It's about starting your day. That's and by that, doing something productive. You don't have to start your work day, but start your day.
Absolutely.
Don't just do nothing.
Yeah. Doing nothing.
To me, even getting a coffee, sitting on the couch, checking emails is starting your day.
Yeah.
Then you go for your run. Then you go to the gym, whatever you want to do. But start your day.
Do you drink your coffee in the same spot every day? I'm fascinated by these little micro routines that people go through. Typically,
yeah. It can change. Just depending. Sometimes my son wakes up too early.
Obviously. But if he's asleep.
So I'll tell you what I do when I'm training for a marathon or something.
Okay.
Because it stays the same every single morning. I literally wake up, I sleep in the shorts I'm going to run in. I go down, I drink 16 ounces of water with electrolytes. I don't have any coffee before.
Nice.
I'll go run. Maybe I'll have some kind of caffeine in some form, but then I'll go run. Then I come back and drink my coffee. But before I run, I don't usually drink any caffeine.
Is that a stomach thing? Like it upsets your stomach?
No, it's more of a time thing.
Oh, okay. It takes time to drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah, and I just want to, if I wake up, get going.
Well, that's cool.
Coffee takes 15, 20 minutes or, so.
I can see that. I mean, coffee is how I start my day. I mean, I have no problem getting going after one cup of coffee.
Now, I would love to drink a coffee before I run because, a lot of times these long runs, you need to try to use the restroom 1 and 2 before you go for a 20-mile run. I've been on long runs before, and I'm over in the Highlands, and, I can't hold it. I'm talking number 2 here. And
that's all.
I'm calling my friends that live in the Highlands. It's 8 a.m.
Stop by your house?
They were out till 3 a.m. And I'm like, please, somebody just answer. And if they don't answer, I just go up there and bang on the door. I'm like, dude, you gotta let me in.
You gotta let me in. Wow. I've not had to do that. But no, I'm obsessed with these little micro routines that people get into because I'm convinced. So my dad used to say something that really stuck with me. I was always fascinated. I wasn't at the time. I was probably annoyed by it at the time because I was young. My dad was very repetitive. You see, his sayings are on the wall here in the office. And the only reason that those sayings are on the wall here in the office is because they were used so often that they were burned into my brain. They were burned into the brains of anyone that was around him with any regularity. And I really believe for him that he was not someone that was prone to positivity, for one. He was not someone that was naturally super productive maybe, and he was willing himself into things. His background would suggest, he was a smart guy and he was a hard worker, but it was literally he would talk himself into it. And so these sayings have stuck with me. And one of them was be routine, systematic, and automatic. I don't know where he got that, but routine, systematic, automatic. And I start thinking about things Like discipline is great, but discipline isn't perfect, right? Motivation is great, but it's not always there. So like discipline and motivation work very well together. When you're motivated, you can overcome your lack of discipline. When you're disciplined, you can overcome your lack of motivation. And routine speaks to all that. It's woven within that whole conversation. So like you will do things, Ryan, simply because it's the way you do things.
Yeah.
So I try as much of my day to fold into a fabric of routine as I possibly can. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like down to like literally the seat I sit in and drink my coffee. It's the same every day. It's Monday, it's Sunday, it's Thursday, it's Friday, it's every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the thing I do last every night is the same exact thing. I take my watch off at the same moment every day almost. Like, and not like 10:08 p.m. Like when I walk into my bedroom after the kids go to bed, right? And I'm essentially checking out for the night, the watch comes off, the AirPods go on the charger, right? I sit there and I thumb through my phone for a few minutes. I put on a stupid show to fall asleep to, and I do the same thing. I lay out my workout clothes for the next day. They're in a pile at the foot of my bed. Like, and it's so weird. I brush my teeth at the same moment, in sequence every single day.
I think that's like systematic routines. I think a house can set you up for it too, like the house you buy. And I think it's important how you lay all that out. And I'm so excited about the house we're building because I already have it pictured in my head. Obviously, it won't be exact, but my routines in the morning and where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do. Looking forward to it. But, one saying my dad always said that sticks out to me is make a plan, work a plan.
Oh, there you go.
Says it to me every day probably still.
Dude, so he and Jeff were close, and I would be surprised if they never had those conversations like that, because Dad would always say a lot of things. He was very big on Think and Grow Rich, right? Are you familiar?
Yep.
So Napoleon Hill was like his favorite author. Think and Grow Rich says there are 4 ways to get anything you want, right? It, is essentially a plan and continuous action. So make a plan, work a plan. And he would say it just like that sometimes too. And I don't know if he heard it from Mark or or how they got
my
it,
dad
right?
might have heard it
but
from
that
my
was
dad.
one of the 4 things that it is required to get anything you want in life, was to essentially make and work a plan and continuous action. Right. That was, and I if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It is.
But this reminds me of things we say in our business quite often, right? Like easy, but not complex.
Yeah.
Right. Like, easy. Well, excuse me. I butchered that. Hard, but not complex. Right. Simple, but not easy.
Yep.
Right. This business is simple, but it isn't easy.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah.
I know you got a plan for the show, and we've been rambling, but I think that's good shit.
I think it is too.
Wouldn't have been able to say that on 1080.
Yeah. 1080 talk radio, real news, real talk.
It's been a while. Yeah,
But I
I'll give
got
you the
it.
real talk now.
So I thought I would ask you, so with these hurricanes rolling through, so Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, there's obviously a lot of real estate agents affected down there as well that work these areas. Obviously, the whole thing's sad, but thinking of real estate agents, some of the real estate's completely wiped out, and they might not even have anything to sell. Is there insurance, or do you own any kind of insurance where I know there's like workers' comp if you get injured, but is there any insurance agents can get where homes are completely devastated and you can't work and you can get paid?
No, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so all right, well maybe. So you can have short-term disability insurance circumstantially based on like an act of God, like a hurricane. I don't think so. I'm not aware.
That's
of
probably
any.
just personal injury.
So short-term disability insurance, and these are things that I must disclaim. You have to talk with a financial planner, right? Have a good CFP that can give you, certified financial planner that can give you advice on these things. For example, and this starts a very worthwhile conversation, okay? And I'll land the plane quickly, but like an individual is licensed to sell real estate, not a company, okay? In the state of Kentucky, at least, okay? Some people will kind of misspeak and say, well, a brokerage has a license, but it's really the broker, the principal broker that has the license that acts on behalf of the company. So it is really an individual. But if you transact real estate, it has become acceptable, and I have done this myself, to incorporate your real estate business and essentially operate selling real estate as a company, an S Corp, an LLC, etc., right? That opens you up to payroll, being able to create a payroll for yourself, right? To where taxes can be withheld and you can do certain things. You can have a 401k, you can have employees, you can have payroll to pay your employees to perform unlicensed work and things like that, right? So like talk to somebody that is, a CPA and a CFP that can give you good advice before you run and do the things that I'm saying right now. But I am an S Corp. I have my S Corp purchase short-term disability insurance and long-term disability insurance for me, so that if I am disabled to the point where I cannot earn my living, I cannot perform the functions and my duties that bring in revenue to my company, right, then I'm compensated, right, to pay my bills, right, on a short or long-term basis. Now, some sort of like outside involvement, like an earthquake in Southern California, a wildfire in Northern California or Washington State or Oregon, or, a tornado in the Ohio Valley or a hurricane in the Southeast. Like, I'm not aware of any insurance that would pay you as a result of your earned income. It would reimburse any sort of earned income or give you an income in spite of your earned income as a result of something else like that. I'm not aware of it. Now, one slight tangent I could tell you that I absolutely have on my rental property is what's called risk of loss or replacement income coverage. So, or rent loss coverage, probably most commonly referred to. So if my property catches fire, let's say, and the tenants can no longer inhabit the property and therefore no longer pay rent because there is no property to pay rent for.
Yeah.
The insurance company will compensate me a percentage of the rent income that I was supposed to receive. It's not a full go, but it's something to help me continue paying the mortgage while I figure out my claim situation, rebuild or refurbish so that I can get tenants back in to pay money.
Gotcha.
Right? So those people that owned real estate in areas affected may be able to claim rent loss coverage because they've not received their rent because people aren't paying anymore because they're not there. So if you own an Airbnb, which I don't honestly know if it's the same for Airbnb. Let's say you have a long-term, say you have a house that you invested in Asheville, North Carolina that was swept away by the flood water, and you had somebody that was on a 12-month lease down there paying you $1,500, $2,000 a month in rent. Well, you're going to get a portion of that from your rent loss coverage if you had it, which I get it on everything because I've had these things happen.
Do you get it until the house is back in a place where somebody can rent it, or only through the lease?
It's only for a period. It's not even through the end of the lease necessarily. It's usually for a period of time, 6, 12 months, I think, maximum.
So imagine that insurance monthly payment's pretty low.
The amount
For
they pay
one
you
property.
is a substantial percentage of what the rent was. It's for a shorter period of time. Remember, Ryan, you're usually like adjudicating a claim for the damage as well, which the insurance company is going to owe you.
Yeah.
So if you had $200,000 in damage and you had replacement cost coverage, then the insurance company is working out a claim to cut you $200,000 to rebuild, or cut it to a builder to rebuild, of which case the different insurance companies in different states and laws, I can't really speak intelligently about the whole situation, but I do know that some will be able to receive that, pay off their mortgage and have the land, right? Some may elect to rebuild, keep their mortgage in place and continue to operate that investment or that live in that residence.
Yep.
But different insurance companies, different policies are different depending.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. All right. So this is an article from Broke Agent Media. We're getting to the end of the year. And this article is titled "What Homebuyers Expect from Real Estate Agents in 2024." Okay. So, number one, when it comes to navigating the complexities of buying a home, the real estate agent remains a buyer's most trusted guide. When asked about the most helpful resource during the home buying process, here's how respondents answered. Real estate agent was their biggest asset in buying a home. 50% of people found their agent to be their most helpful source. Real estate app or website, 36%. Advice from family or friends, 15%.
Wow.
I'm kind of surprised that number is that large, but also not surprised.
It's only that large because of the amount of bad real estate agents out there.
Yeah. So then 2, digital tools matter. Of those who participated in the survey, 70% noted that 3D tours and digital floor plans help them understand a home's layout better than static photos. And while the vast majority, 73%, prefer in-person tours to virtual, buyers appreciate convenience when scheduling tours. 64% prefer to schedule tours online, and 67% said it would be easiest for them to unlock properties from their phone and tour on their own time.
Yeah, I don't see how that happens.
It must be another state where there's
they would prefer
where it's
it
maybe
says they
allowed.
Would prefer. I don't think that's happening anywhere.
Yeah.
Like there are companies.
Yeah, they just said it would be easiest for them to
of
unlock
course
properties.
It would. But like, I mean, think about the logistics that would be required. You know what I mean? Now there are some companies that purport
Set up a camera in every room,
have cameras,
or maybe a little AI camera robot that follows them around.
Electronic lock boxes, right? Which are tough. But most homes are occupied. Sellers require notice to vacate. You know, yes, it can be done. Yes, it can be done. I don't see it happening in mass, though. I mean, maybe eventually, but the public discourse, some of the things I hear anecdotally are the biggest reasons. Security is the greatest reason why a lot of people don't go for sale by owner. Like they are fearful of what they don't know about the person touring their home. So they're just going to let, because you have a credit card, you're going to, because that's what they have to do. So there's personally identifiable items that all people have, you know, a cell phone number or a credit card number, right? The way that a credit card number would be, you would charge essentially a few cents, you know, kind of like when they do the deposit into your bank account to verify, like a few cents per showing, and they would have to hit the credit card, a valid credit card. So we're not really charging you, we're really tracking your identity, basically.
Yeah. No, I think if that was possible, you don't do a few cents. Hey, it's going to cost you $20 to go through this home.
Well, and that's a thing. You could potentially go that route too. I guess I'm just saying, like, for identification purposes, it's either a cell phone number or, you know, or a credit card. That's the two ways you're going to identify someone.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not certain really that you're the person swiping the card, the person inputting the credit card number, or the person's phone is that in fact that individual. There's just like a lot of security implications.
I mean, you could send them a text that they have to confirm. You know, then you don't know if they locked all the doors when they left or turned lights off that they're supposed to.
Fully automated home features are woefully buggy. I mean, some of them are awesome and like, yes, it's great, but like they're all contingent upon a solid internet signal. So like if your internet is down, none of it works. Right. So anyway, I don't know. We're just not quite there yet. Like, I think at some point we will have like coast to coast, like Wi-Fi essentially. Like we'll all be walking around. I don't know if it'll cause cancer or whatever. Starlink. Like we'll all be walking around with the equivalent of a Wi-Fi signal, not a satellite signal, but a Wi-Fi signal anywhere you are in the United States at some point.
Yeah.
And at that point, when it is not necessarily like the power at the individual house or the signal pumped into the individual house and the individual's signal, like maybe at that point we'll be able to do this, but right now it's just too buggy.
Yeah.
I can appreciate though that 60% of the people want that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like it. I don't think our greatest value is in the showing. I think that's part of the issue with the industry is placing too much emphasis and value on the showing.
I agree with you.
You know, we need to be marketers and we need to be negotiators, right? If we understand the market, if we know how to properly price real estate, if we know where the market is and we know how to negotiate well, that's where all our value. And if you want to talk about, I mean, there are no standards, all commissions are negotiable, but if you're worth 3%, it is easy to make a 3% delta on a negotiation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to at least negotiate your fee.
Yep.
To be paid for out of the concession that you negotiate from a buyer or seller.
Yep.
So anyway, all that's cool. I love that 50% still think the real estate agent is the biggest asset. I wish it were more. I think as we raise the bar on our industry, that number has to go up.
Absolutely. Number 3 on this list, communication is king. Buyers in 2024 don't just want fast responses, they expect them.
Yep.
I think we know this. Everybody wants everything immediately nowadays. It's why Amazon's so successful.
Oh, yeah.
It's why DoorDash is successful.
Yeah.
People want things when they want them.
So consider this. It is not the speed at which you respond or the speed at which you are capable of responding that is the issue. Okay? It is the avoidance of response that is the issue.
Yes.
Okay? Agents avoid responding to challenging inquiries, challenging questions, they avoid challenging conversation.
And we've said on here, the number one thing giving you the most anxiety as a real estate agent is what you're avoiding. If you just attack it, that anxiety is going to be gone.
Get it over with. You know, I mean, I put up a very nice listing this week. We have one showing. It's a high price point, expected to be a relatively small market of buyers. And you know, the sellers reached out a couple times and I said, look, guys, you have an elite home. Not everybody can buy an elite home. Right. And I responded instantly, but you know, in a lesser qualified agent may have taken the blame for there being fewer showings within the first 2 days of listing than one. But honestly, you only need one.
That's right.
And it's a ready, willing, and able qualified buyer. That's all you need. And so, no, I'm not going to apologize for there being one showing.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we need. And the market is telling us something. If they see value, great. Let's get some good feedback. I've got another 3 or 4 leads working on it. We'll get more showings or we'll reduce the price. But, you know, great listings sell themselves.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I've been seeing a lot of showings on my listings scheduled on Sunday nights lately. Ones that have been up for a bit. They're all getting scheduled on Sunday nights, and it could be for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But most are all getting scheduled Sunday night.
So people are planning. They're not jumping.
Right.
I thought you meant they're coming to see it on Sunday night.
No.
That's
Scheduling.
like when people don't want to look at houses.
Yeah.
But they're scheduling them on Sunday night, which means they're discussing it. They're talking to each other. They're sending it over to their agent. They're saying, hey, I want to go Wednesday because they think they have time. Right? And, you know.
Those are always the ones that get canceled the most, too. The farthest planned out ahead ones, from what I've seen, get canceled more often than scheduled that day and go see
I need to see it in 15 minutes. Yeah, those people always show up.
4, financial transparency. One of the biggest surprises for home buyers, unexpected costs. According to the report, 91% of buyers encountered at least one cost they didn't anticipate, with loan origination fees being 66% and appraisal costs 54% topping the list.
So 44% of people didn't expect to pay for an appraisal?
54, yeah.
That's whack.
First-time buyers were particularly vulnerable. 49% said their closing costs exceeded expectations. So
I don't know if that qualifies as vulnerable.
Yeah.
It sounds bratty to me. Sounds like ill-informed, ill-educated.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're working with the buyer, you need to point out all the different fees they could have to pay, and then say, hey, I don't know exactly what your loan origination fees are going to be, what your appraisal costs is going to be, any closing costs. Talk to your lender. These will be fees. Here's a range. But to get an accurate number, go talk to your lender.
So gentleman that has co-hosted, well, it was the radio show at the time, but a gentleman that has co-hosted this show once before, Andrew Dow, it runs our mortgage company. I think has a very good approach to this. Okay. He says that your mortgage should be a plan, right? Your plan should reflect your intentions. Okay. So what people need to understand, and those first time home buyers out there, pay close attention to this, especially considering that 60% did not expect to pay mortgage origination fees. 66%. 2/3 of buyers, or first time buyers? Or all buyers.
Just
2/3 of
anybody in
buyers
this
did not
survey.
expect to pay origination fees. I'm going to explain that right now. Here's why. Okay. Presuming this is a recent survey.
article.
But the article's based on a recent
I'll
survey.
try to find that out while you
Well,
talk.
it's okay. I'm sure it's recent. They wouldn't be cold.
2024 Zillow Consumer Housing Trends Report.
Okay, there you go. And that's a great study, and I've referenced that a ton. So I believe this to be accurate. Here's why. So rates doubled, in the last 3 years. They actually doubled 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and they've stayed relatively similar since. But we've been in a rate environment that is 2 to 3x what interest rates were for all of 2021 and a portion of 22. Okay. And rates were substantially lower leading up to the COVID-19 pandemic than they are right now. Okay. They were in the 4s and 5s, sometimes high 3s. When rates are that low, okay, what that means is that banks are borrowing money from each other at next to zero interest. They are lending money out, okay, at 2.5% to 3% profit margin to them, okay, and they can offer 3.5%, 4.5% with relatively no consequence, which was considered low historically, still is. And consumers really didn't have to think about it too much. They're going to say, hey, these rates are great. These are low rates. We don't have to scrutinize. And so origination fees were not being charged because all the bank's profit margin was in the rate.
Yep.
Okay. When rates go through the roof and it affects your affordability, every 1/8% increase in interest rate is scrutinized, which means the bank has a hard time making the profit margin they need to stay open. And when I say bank, I don't even mean bank. I mean your local mortgage company, 123 Mortgage, the agent, the agent's referral partner, mortgage partner, our mortgage company here within our four walls, like they have to tailor a mortgage to your specifics. If you come in and you tell Andrew Dow that I'm going to live in this house for 30 years, okay, then that's going to tell him that the interest rate and the amount of interest you pay long-term really, really, really matters. And the way he gets you the lowest interest rate is by charging a portion of that margin as an origination fee, right? So if he charges you a 1% origination fee for your loan, that is essentially 1% less profit margin, not 1% on the interest rate, but 1% less profit margin. And he can probably drop your rate by 0.5 point by charging you a 1 point origination fee. Okay. So it stands to reason that now in a high rate environment, okay, following a decade of historically low interest rates, that consumers were not accustomed to paying mortgage origination fees. And now they are, because they come in and they tell their loan officer that rate is what matters most because they're reading on the news that rates are higher than they've ever been. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the loan officer has to battle and wrestle with, and maybe they didn't do a good enough job. I tell you, Andrew Dow would, and he would explain it very well as to why you're paying an origination fee up front. Because those are contrary. The bank needs to make what the bank needs to make, like any other business, to keep their doors open. And that's, again, I shouldn't say bank because it's not a bank. Most of them are local mortgage companies. If you're financing with large national banks on your residential mortgage, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because they could care less whether they give you a loan or not. Okay, they will charge 3 to 4% margins because they really only want your checking account. They don't care about the mortgage.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So number 5 on this list, just your referrals matter. Basically, it's just saying agents keep your vendor list updated because clients really care about who you refer them. And then number 6, offer negotiation strategy and support. So it says in 2024, buyers have been increasingly strategic with their offers. 2/3 of buyers included contingencies such as inspections and financing in their final offers. More than half of buyers also made their offer contingent on their property appraising at a minimum value. So agents need to be skilled negotiators, which we already talked about in this segment.
So go on back for a second. I want to, how you worded that, a negotiation plan, like consumers are asking or demanding that agents, because that's news to me, because that's one of the really heavy differentiation points that we've had. Simply, and I've told my agents this, right? And you've probably heard this from me, whether it be pricing a house, have a pricing plan, have a pricing strategy, have a negotiation plan, a negotiation strategy, because I believe that most real estate agents fly by the seat of their pants.
I think so too.
And when you walk in and you interview for a client, right? Even if it's not really an interview or you don't know that you're competing for this potential piece of business, and you show them that you've been there and you've done it, you show them why you have success. I think it makes it infinitely easier, and you get those open lines of communication. You get the confidence you need to be able to make the decisions you need to make to get results. But most agents don't have a clue. When I tell people that you learn the most by someone's first counter than you do their first offer, it blows people's heads off their shoulders. They're like, wait a minute, that makes a ton of sense. Because why? Your first offer is a posture, right? You're just posturing. Okay. Your first counter really says how interested you are in making a deal work. And when you say things like that, or you illustrate truths about a negotiation, you can really build a lot of trust very fast.
Yeah. And every deal is different, but I typically have the same negotiation plan with any buyer I work with, depending on the situation. I'm not going to say it on the podcast. We'll talk about it.
I'll say it. But you want me to tell you mine? Yeah. This is a really oversimplified version. Your offer is the lowest it can possibly be representing a buyer, as low as it can possibly. Now, okay, let me say this: if I'm aware of a competing offer, this is out the window.
Right.
Okay. If you are the only offer, my offer is as low as I can possibly make it and still get a counter offer.
Yep.
Okay. Why? Because I don't care about their list price. That's their initial offer. It doesn't say anything about what they're willing to accept. Okay. I want the counter. Okay. And then from there, I tend to play the meat in the middle game. I tend to assume, okay, let's use specific numbers. You have a $400,000 listing. Okay. It's been on the market 30 days. Okay. Nice, shows well. They've had some showings. They might have even had offers, not gotten it done. There's not another. They've got an open house this weekend, right? Because they're wanting to sell. They're exhibiting the, urgency for selling. But they can't negotiate any offers they don't have. We like it. I'm offering 360, right? So 360 on 400, okay? They come back and they counter me at 390. 390 tells me that they're willing to negotiate a little bit, not a lot. If they negotiated 395 on a $400,000 price, that tells me they're not really interested. If they counter me at full price, obviously they're not willing to negotiate, or they're wanting to be difficult, or they're delusional. But if they counter me at 390, that tells me they're willing to negotiate. Now remember, I'm at 360, they're at 390. I'm going to make the assumption at that point that they're willing to do 375. Okay? They gave me a counter. Okay? Probably that they're willing to meet me in the middle.
So your meet in the middle is based off your offer and their counter.
Yep. Okay. It may not be what I'm thinking I will pay. Now, what I'm saying with this is, if I make an offer of 360 and they counter at 390, I assume they will do 375. I may not be willing to do 375. Okay. Probably though, most buyers, Ryan, if they offer 360 on a $400,000 listing, they're willing to do 380.
Yeah.
Because most first offers are willing to meet in the middle.
Sure.
And that's what I'm telling my seller on that. I might engineer a counter of 390 because I'm telling them, look, they're willing to do 380. That's what they told us when they made an offer at 360. Yeah.
This plan also goes out the window, though, for those listening, if a house has only been on the market for a day.
Yeah, of course. But once you see that counter, it's back on.
Right.
If they counter at 390 after a day,
yeah,
you may get laughed out of here with a 360 on 400. And sometimes we present those offers. I try to discourage them. Hey guys, one day on market, they're not gonna take 10% off the price after one day.
Sure.
It's just not gonna happen. Sure. Well, Jay, what will they take? Well, on average, the market yields 98% of list price at the time of contract. Okay. On average, houses are closing, selling and closing in 30 days. But we got the tale of two markets, right? We got the week or less sales, and then we got the will never sells. Okay. So this is inside a week. Chances are we won't even get to 98%.
What I tell buyers that are on the fence or maybe a little nervous about offering, well, I'd say nervous about insulting the seller. You don't have buyers like that all the time, but sometimes you do.
Yeah.
On a home that's been listed for a bit. They're like, well, I don't want to insult them with what we want to offer. Say the same thing. Hey, the worst thing that can happen? This is literally the worst thing that can happen. They can say no. Literally. I'm like, if you want to do it, hey, write in the offer.
Yeah.
Well,
what if I offend them, Ryan?
It's just time.
Well, what if I offend them, Ryan?
Hey, go find another house.
We'll go find another. Well, I don't want to find another house.
Well, no, you know what? You won't know you offended them because I won't tell you.
I protect you. That's what I'm here for. No, you know what I would say? Well, I don't want to offend them. Well, here's the thing, right? Everybody knows that you favor yourself in a negotiation. Okay, so here's my question to you then. If you don't want to offend them, where would you like to land? Well, as cheap as possible. Well, of course. But what are you willing to pay? Well, I don't know. Okay, let me ask it another way. If you were to make an offer on this house, okay, and we submit it to the seller, okay, and I call you back tomorrow and say they got another offer they didn't tell us and it sold to them, what would you wish you had offered? What number were you willing to go to, okay, and $1 past it, you'd be fine losing? That's the number you need to think about, okay? And I will do my level best to make sure that I know whether we are competing or not, okay? But you can and we can make a strategy on trying to buy it cheaper than that, understanding we may miss, okay? If you don't want to miss, then that's what we need to offer right now, okay? Because anything less and you're going to be frustrated.
It's good.
I mean, and it really depends on how serious people are. How serious are you? The great thing, and this is something I've always said, the best buyers work with the best agents.
Yep.
Okay. And you see that as a listing agent. The longer you're in this business and the more homes you list, you realize the most reliable deals come from the best agents. Yeah. Okay. They don't mess around. The agents control their clients' worst impulses. They do not, allow them to pursue in anxiety. They don't allow them. And every once in a while, there's something that you can't control. But by and large, there's a reason why experienced agents don't release contracts. Yeah. And it's not necessarily because that agent is so great. It's because that agent attracts serious buyers.
And sets expectations up
front. Sets great expectations up front. So,
all right, cool. Let's move away from real estate towards the end here.
Yeah.
So we got the holiday season coming up.
Sure.
First, what's your favorite holiday?
Ooh.
And I do have a real estate question followed up.
Dude, I am favorite holiday. Thanksgiving or Christmas. Those are two very obvious and easy ones. I'm going to say Thanksgiving. I'm going to say Thanksgiving because Christmas is too easy. I love Christmas. Love Christmas morning with the kids. You know what I really love though? And it's the same. I love the same Christmas for the same reason. Okay. I love getting together with family early, right? Big meal, big get together, everybody's favorite things, enjoying each other's company, football on the television, cocktail in the afternoon, take a nap, wake up, eat more food, play a board game, play some cards, watch another football game. Yep. Just like nothing else to do in the world. Nothing else you'd rather be doing in the world. Christmas is like commercialized with the presents and all that. And that's so awesome watching the kids rush to the tree in the morning and sitting up with your coffee and watching your kids. But then like the part I like best about Christmas is the part that comes just a little bit later when all the family comes. Yeah. Which, is tough now. Dad's not with us anymore and it's tough not having it with him. But just having my kids and Zach and his, kids and,
Do you and Jen have a Christmas routine the night before where you stay up and?
Yes. don't get any sleep and like put together all the things. Yeah. My kids are getting a little bit older now, so that's getting exciting. I'm not putting together like, like play sets like for the backyard with like 8,000 pieces.
And lights.
Oh, God, so bad. I usually drink a few beers and put together the kid stuff.
A couple bourbons.
Or bourbon's so good. Bourbon's so good on Thanksgiving. Just like a cider bourbon, cider bourbon
Hot
mixed
cider,
cocktail, hot cider drink.
It's very good.
Oh, dude, it's so bad, but it's so good.
So this will be our second Christmas with Rowan, but this year be a little more. Last year he was just a little bug, but
no, when they start getting personality and getting excited about gifts and stuff, there's just like almost nothing better.
which I still don't even think he'll recognize what a gift is, but he'll tear it open.
So Colton got his first like baseball bat like for Christmas. I don't want to say it was the year before last. And his brother got a bat and we wrapped them and we put them next to each other, and it was just like, he got to be a big boy and get the same thing his older brother got. So that was really walking around swinging about, like knocking stuff over.
Yeah, we're trying to decide what we want to do. We're building a house in Eton right now, and I'm thinking it's going to be done in January. So, I mean, it could be done in December, but then that's a lot to move and get set up before Christmas. So we're in no rush. So, and we'll probably end up, I don't know, we could sell our house the next month or wait till March. I'm probably leaning towards wait till March because then we'll be in it 2 years. Yeah,
be in it 2 years. If you got any gain, you'll get to, be exempt that.
There'll be a little bit.
But here's the thing. Fed says they're going to drop rates 5 times next year. I mean, maybe you'll get one, 2 more of those in, and the market will be buzzing. I don't know.
We'll see.
You'll see.
I mean, market's good in Louisville right now, especially for where we're at. But you know
No
what?
complaints.
We'll probably wait till March. So if you want a house on Field Avenue and Crescent Hill,
And there you go.
3-bed, 2-bath,
Little plug on the podcast.
a little over 2,000 square feet, fully remodeled. Give me a call.
Solid. All right, what's a real estate question? Let's close out.
Have you ever sold a home on a holiday?
Have ever sold a what? A home on a holiday? I sold one on Derby Day. I literally
It's a holiday in Louisville.
did a negotiation from the track. It was an old back in the day, man. I was on the Dave Ramsey ELP list, the endorsed local provider list. If you listen to any talk radio, you probably encountered Dave Ramsey. Dave's got a lot of good stuff, but I've never really fully prescribed to all his thoughts.
I got to bring up real quick the shipping container guy that scared everybody. Somebody said, I can't believe Dave Ramsey would do this to the country. It just looks like a dripped out Dave Ramsey.
Dude, I mean, it was wild. I used to get those leads, but yeah, it was a really cool guy. It was a single guy, was moving to Cincinnati. He owned a house in Phoenix Hill. We hit it off right away because that what they do is they give those leads to 3 different agents.
Yeah.
And so, like, oftentimes you're going in on a listing appointment and he's already met with 2 people or he's going to meet with 2 more. I don't remember the exact details, but we were about the same age. Cool dude, nice house. Walked in, told him, what I thought we could get for it. We planned to list it like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of Derby week. And that was honestly long enough ago that like Tuesday, Wednesday weren't huge. I mean, Derby was already big, but anyway, it got kind of delayed. He wasn't ready for one reason or another, and we ended up putting it up on Derby. And we got an offer on the morning of Derby, and I got.
Nice.
I mean, I'm literally at the track, like
Paid for my bets.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it was a nice little sale, and I'm like texting him and calling people to like, hey, can you throw this into dot loop and take because the signal was bad. Anyway, it got done, but never on Christmas. Dude, I do remember on Thanksgiving as a kid going out with my dad to rental properties and like fixing stuff for people because they had like family get-togethers. And like their hot water heater went out or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so like kind of wild stuff. Dad would literally take those calls.
I've gone out with my dad multiple times on Thanksgiving or Christmas when somebody's stove wasn't working.
Yeah.
Or the hot water had a little leak and they were having people over.
Yeah.
And I go over there with them on Thanksgiving,
For sure.
with maintenance guy.
That's
and
right.
Fix it for them.
That's right.
People appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. It was a condensate leak once. I don't know if you know what that is, but a condensate leak is like when you get the condensation line on the air, like HVAC or air conditioner gets clogged with like lint or whatever, and then it just starts backing up, and you get it up with water everywhere. And it's like the easiest, craziest fix in the world. You literally take a little PVC pipe cutter and a union, you cut it, you pull the thing aside, you get this little bulb that's like a blower, and you just and it like shoots the thing loose, and then you're
good.
Hook it back up and you're done.
We just had a guy flood his apartment and 2 others by trying to install a bidet himself.
Hey, you know what? When you need something, you need it.
Guess so.
Only on this podcast. Hey, we did talk about number 1s and number 2s, so it's only right. We opened with number 1 and number 2. Now we're closing with the
bathroom
bidet.
talk on this.
Closing
podcast.
with the bidet.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
All right, man. That's all I got.
Yep. Folks, we appreciate you tuning in. As always, our listeners are very loyal to us, and we see the listens and the subscribers week after week. You guys just show up for us, so we definitely appreciate you checking us out wherever you podcast, specifically on Apple or Spotify. Reviews, always appreciated. Sharing the podcast, certainly appreciated for those of you that do that. And you can also check us out on all the socials at J Pitts Realtor, at ryanharris.re. Likes and shares are always appreciated there too. But that's all we got for you this week. We'll be back soon on the J Pitts Show. I'm your host, J Pitts. For Ryan Harris, we'll see you soon.
Peace.